Hi, and welcome to another edition of Hey Coach. My name is John Messina, and I got a special guest today, somebody who did an outstanding football job up at Fort Pierce Westwood, Coach Jeff George. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, I know my son speaks very highly of you. I know, he's your film guy.
Yeah.
And stuff, but a little bit, let's go through, what's your background, Coach?
Oh, gosh, I guess it starts with my dad. My dad played professionally.
Where?
He played for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He,
Really?
played for the Bandits, USFL.
Okay.
So, it's been in my family for a while. I started, playing. I started in his footsteps. I went to Highland Community College, followed him, went to Illinois State. He made it pro. I did not. I wasn't good enough. Okay. But then I started coaching, and I fell in love with it. And I've been doing that ever since. I've coached high school. I've coached college. I've coached professionally overseas in Europe for 3 years.
Where did you coach in college?
Beloit College. I coached at North Park University. Okay. I've coached at Eastern New Mexico University and Lake Erie College.
Okay.
Yeah. And overseas for 3 years in Europe, in Poland.
Now, how was that?
Oh, my God. It was the best.
Tell me how was that?
Okay.
Okay.
First off, I went there not knowing the language at all. I don't speak Polish.
Okay.
But I had to, get acclimated to that. But, those guys really wanted to play football. They really wanted to learn, and we wound up winning the championship my second year there. We had 40,000 fans in the arena.
Really?
It was awesome.
Okay.
It was awesome.
And they have the soccer mentality, because when you over there and you say
I say football,
they're going
like,
to say, I'm going to kick
ball.
it, right? You
like, no,
kick
we have to say American football.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
What made you come to Westwood?
You know what? I was coaching at Eastern New Mexico University, and my dad is, like I said, he lives in Tampa, and I really want to get back, to the East Coast over here. I love it in Florida. They have the perfect weather. Yeah. Believe it or not, it gets really cold in New Mexico, and I'm like,
really?
Oh yes. Yes.
In wintertime?
Yes, it does. I didn't believe it myself until I was out there. I walk outside, I'm like, this is not what it's supposed to be. So I applied for some jobs this way, and I got a call back from Mr. Lazo, and he was like, would you mind interviewing with us? I'm like, that's great. Interviewed, I believe, via Skype or whatever platform it was.
The pandemic was going on.
No, it was not. This was the year before.
Year before that.
Year before that.
Okay.
And so, but I was in New Mexico, so I didn't want to fly here to Florida. So I interviewed online, and he called me back about 2 weeks later and said, we want to offer you the job. And as soon as they did that, I got in my truck and drove from New Mexico to Florida.
Wow. I know. I mean, Westwood has had so many coaches over the years.
Yes.
To me, and as somebody who was in this county 25 years, I think it's a gold mine. If coaches like you can stick around, build your staff. I know I got a lot of ties to Westwood. As you know, my son's there, and one of my favorite principals of all time, John Lynch, was there, and I know Joe Lazo very well, and Jill Willett was the AD there a few years ago.
Yeah, that's my girl.
But the stability is the key thing over there.
And that's the first thing that was asked to me when I came here, how long are you going to be here? Yeah. I had an introduction. We had one at Fats. One of my coaches owns Fats Chicken and Waffle, so we went there to have an introduction meeting, and that's the only question they were asking me, how long are you going to be here?
I would have done the same thing.
I'm like, gosh, I just got here, So, I plan on being here as long as they want me. I love it at Westwood. I have a great administration. The Booster Club is awesome.
That's
Coaches
great.
are great, so.
I'll tell you a quick story. They asked me 2 years ago to help pick the new coach at Morgan County.
Okay.
And without saying names, we had a big-time college coach from down. He was super, super impressive. I mean, I would have jumped through the seat and say, you're my guy. But in the back of my mind, kept saying to myself, is he going to stay here? And he only stayed a year. But the guy who was the runner-up, who's the head coach now, very impressed. And one of the questions we asked him, if you don't get the head job, would you want to be assistant? He jumped on it. So I know Mark hired him as the head coach after this other guy left.
Okay.
He did a great job with him this year, But I think that's the key thing. It's so hard to keep people intact. I know when I was at Centennial, my big thing was, I don't want to lose anybody in a year, any coaches, okay? Let's work through things. Let's develop your staff. What do you need to do to take Westwood to the next level?
Just be consistent. I'm changing the culture there from year one to year two. I believe we made a significant jump in attendance, and I just got to continue to do that. It's being, there all the time, and being at Westwood. Let me tell you something. It's a different animal. It's very challenging. 80% of my kids probably come from single parent homes.
Right.
You know, so not only am I a coach, I'm a life coach. You know, I'm there with them every single day. They spend more time with me than they probably do with their parents. So I have to be their mentor. I have to be that figure that they're missing at home sometimes. So it's challenging, but you know, I love it. You know, I bring coaches in who are up for that challenge as well. I brought a coach in from Dallas Carter. I coached at Dallas Carter in Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that's the team on
yeah.
Friday Night
on Friday
Lights.
Night Lights, yes.
Now that's semi-true, right? That
Yes,
story?
yes, it's
they,
true.
They beat them in
yeah,
the
but what happened on Friday Night Lights, though, they actually lost before they went to the state championship. On the movie, they were in the state championship.
Right, they lost to Dallas Carter.
They lost to Dallas Carter before the state championship, the semifinals.
Okay.
And it wasn't even close, by the way. They made it
Okay,
like
all right. So, all right. Now I got a different opinion when I see the movie. Okay,
Yeah.
great. That's great to know.
So, yeah, I brought a coach. I coached there, and I was the defensive coordinator there and the offensive coordinator there. We always talked about when, you know, we get a head coaching job, we're going to bring one another. So I brought him in, and he's done a really good job with the offense this year. Like I said, he's a great coach, great mentor to the kids, and you know, like I said, my whole coaching staff is pretty close knit.
Good. If you had to go through your season, go through it and give me some of the highlights.
It has to start off with our first game, Central. I'm all about beating our rivals.
Right.
You know, we beat them 49-0, and you know, we still had some alumni. You know, you should have beat them by more.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
I was just going to say that. That wasn't enough.
Oh no, it wasn't enough at all for them. So you know, we'll see what we could do next year. But you know, we were on the roll, and then we played Vero. And Vero is a tough team, you know. Lenny's been there for I don't know how many years, and you know he has a juggernaut. You know, it's just it's systematic there.
They just reloaded.
Oh my gosh, every year.
Every year.
You know, so he's a great coach, great guy. You know, I didn't think you know a guy like that would be such a great guy. Like you know, I sat and talked to him for about a good, you know, 20, 30 minutes. I'm just like a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
You know, so we won that game. I think our players were, you know, oh my gosh, it's Vero. You know, instead of, you know, it's just another team.
And playing up there.
Exactly, playing up there, it was, you know, the cannons were going off, and you know, we didn't play our best game. We were down a couple of players because of COVID. You know, not to make any excuses, but you know, we went in there and got beat, and that was it.
Talking about Lenny, the first time I met Lenny was 1986.
Wow.
I was the baseball coach at Miami Pace, and Lenny was the star pitcher for John Carroll. And we were good, believe me. We were really good. And we heard about this Jankowski kid had a good fastball. And you don't say that to my kids, especially the Latin kids down in Miami. So always kid Lenny about it. He says, how many batters did you last? I said, Coach, I got through the first inning. That was it.
That was it, huh?
But Lenny and I are good friends, very good friends. How was it playing and practicing through COVID this year?
Once again, it was challenging. You know, there's so many restrictions. You know, we had to follow the CDC's guidelines to the T. You know, I'm one of those coaches where, hey, they tell us to go right, we're going to go right. You know, they tell us the alignment beings, that's what we're going to do. So it was hard, you know, because the players want to get out there and play right away. I'm like, no, you have to stay 6 feet away from each other. You have to wear your mask at all times. We have to check your temperatures. You know, bring your own water bottle. You know, so it was a lot of different things that they had to get acclimated to. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we knew that it was just, it was adversity we had to get over. Right. You know, so we went through it, and we had a season.
Did you have a trainer this year? Were you able to get a trainer? Or no?
No, we actually have somebody that comes in, I believe, once a week.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I know Danny Neinstein over at Port St. Lucie has been working with Cleveland Clinic to provide some trainers. That's got to be a must. Not just for the COVID, but I always thought you're putting too much pressure on the coaches for concussion.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
Second, and even more than that, is the heat protocol. You know, because especially when you guys start practicing in August. I mean, I know some of my friends up in New Jersey, they cut out all afternoon practices until like mid-September. You got to practice at night or before school.
You know, and what happened was, I know the head AD, Pete Crespo, he made sure that everybody was trained. You know, same thing with my AD. So we had, it was a wet bulb training we had to go to, and they were, you know, really big on that. So, you know, like I said, anything to keep the players safe, you know, I think that, you know, they're going to do. But, you know, I would love to definitely have a trainer, because I'm the trainer right now. I tape 4 games.
See, but that's too much. That's too much.
Somebody gets hurt, I'm diagnosing it on the sideline. So, but.
See, years ago, and again before COVID, we used to have complete in-service for all the coaches in the county, and they would get points. And we would do it the Saturday before the first football practice. people complained, but we had an all-day thing, and they got in-service points. We fed them all day. We brought college coaches in. We brought doctors in, and that way they understood it. I always think you should have something for the kids also. I mean, I know they watch this video, okay, and I've been around a long time. They'll go 10 minutes into the video and then they're out. Hopefully by next fall, we can do a lot of in-person things. Because I always think you can do something in person. The FHSAA had a very difficult job just to start the sports.
Yeah, they did.
I knew a few of the men and ladies that were on the state advisory committee, and I remember watching it on TV, and I had a good friend of mine, calling me up. He says, "You got to watch this." He says, "We don't have a prayer." The advisory committee from the medical department said you shouldn't start. And as you saw, some of the schools were able to start, some of the areas.
Yes.
And some of them didn't start. They came in late. Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County had their own playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some of the schools jumped in at the last minute. I know Central jumped in, Palmetto jumped in, but I don't think any schools in Palm Beach or Broward, except for the private schools, jumped in. And Miami Columbus, which is defending state champs in 8A from the year before, opted out. But, hopefully by this year, hopefully by your spring, it's going to be a set thing for everybody on that, I was always hoping that they would wait a little bit, but obviously even if they waited, the virus got worse and worse on that. I was a little disappointed. We were talking out in the hall how they set up the playoffs, because I thought it was totally unfair. So you guys had to go over and play Tampa Middleton, which was what, 3.5 hour ride?
Yeah, about 3 hours. Yeah, 3.5 hours on the bus.
Then you come back, get a good win, and you got to go all the way back and play Palmetto, which is even a little bit further.
Yes.
And you were a district champ.
Yes.
I know they did a blind draw. I think that was probably their only choice at that time. But you got to take into consideration the travel and the money. And I know from being an AD, the money that you got in did not come anywhere near what it cost you to drive over there.
That's very true. But, I tell my guys this all the time, it's about adversity. I wasn't going to complain about it.
No, I knew.
We're going to go there and play. I don't care where we have to travel. We're going to go play.
Yeah.
And our goal was to win. We just didn't come up.
You played well. You played well.
I wish we would have played a little bit better.
A little better last quarter. Well, what are you doing now in the off season?
Right now, all of our, most of our kids are doing other sports. We have James Mons doing a great job right now with soccer. Most of our guys are playing basketball.
Good.
They're starting to run track right now. But the other guys who aren't playing sports, they're with us working out. I just hired a strength and conditioning coach who I coached him at Eastern New Mexico University. And he did a great job there. So I brought him in, and he's going to do a great job for me here.
Okay. Promoting your team. How do you promote Westwood and get them to that level? You're just promoting them wise.
You know what? Honestly, I think it speaks for itself once we start building winning seasons. We have 2 winning seasons under our belt since I've been there. I was telling you beforehand, I want to go ahead and bring in some bigger names on our schedule. Like I said, we're negotiating right now to play Naples. We play Vero week 3. I want to see exactly who we can play just to see how good we are. So once we have that schedule, once we start winning those games, I think that we'll have some notoriety that way.
And hopefully you get the crowds. That's the thing, playing in front of, what do you have, 15% capacity? Or?
Yeah, I think that, the Central game was sold out. I think it was 15% capacity, but that's a big game for us. And right now, fans are like, once we're winning, they'll come out. So if we continue to win, the fans will come out. So we have to put a good product on the field.
That's true too. I know I watched a lot of the games. Joe live streamed a lot of the games, and I was able to watch them. And I tell you, you go on YouTube, you want to find the team, you could watch them, because I had seen that Palmetto team the week before, and I said, wow, they're quick. They were quick on that. Is there any rules in high school that you would like to change, if you could?
Well, okay, so I coach high school also in Texas.
Okay.
And so Texas, they abide by the NCAA rules where you can cut, downfield, you can cut all over the place.
Okay.
If they brought that to Florida, then I like that rule, because what it does is, if you have a 230-pound defensive end, you know, and you can't stop him. Like for instance, we played last year. We played Sebastian. What was the guy's name? He went to Alabama.
Smith kid.
Oh my God, he was a terror, and we couldn't cut him. You know, so what can you do with a guy like that? You know, so you know that one rule I would like to implement. You know, about cutting, but you know, other than that, everything is fine. We can't hurdle, which is that's something that they're allowed to do in Texas. But you know, I just abide by them and just keep it moving.
Was the targeting rule fully explained and consistent, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we had too many penalties with targeting. You know, they do a really good job, you know, bringing us coaches in and explaining all the rules. And before games, they ask us, do you have any, questions about the rules? So, you know, they do a really good job with that.
See, I always felt that, and I don't know if you guys are still doing this, we used to have the commissioners for each sport meet with all the coaches before the season started. Have again, you couldn't do it because of the pandemic,
COVID,
but we used to have we would take maybe baseball and soccer, another school would take that. So all the coaches would come in, have some pizzas, have the questions. Like you said, what are you going to call? You got to be consistent. Because again, you probably noticed when you went to a different county and you transferred, they're the same rules, but the officiating might be calling them a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that.
Experienced that.
I knew that in baseball. I mean, just the strike zones would vary completely on that.
And we just call that home cooking. You know, we expect that when we go away.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell the kids that automatically. You know, don't question what the refs call. You know, we can't do anything about it.
Right.
So we just got to move on. It's adversity. We just got to deal with it.
Right. Let's switch a little bit and go to college. Okay. What do you think about how do you get your kids recruited? How you promote them?
You know, I don't have a hard time promoting my kids. You know, because they just pop out on film. You know, the hard thing about my kids is I have to make sure that they're academically ready to go to that next level. Right. You know, and that's the struggle. You know, we do a good job of offering, tutors. We have what they call 8th period at our school right now.
Oh, great.
To help these guys out. But, it's just, they got to put forth the effort. Academics has to be, and that's what I'm striving for. My goal is to have my whole team with a 3.0. That right there is a goal of mine. Within the next couple of years, and we're striving for that. I'm making it mandatory to go to 8th period. I hired, instead of bringing in a coach, I hired an academic advisor for one of my stipends, so therefore she can keep track of my guys. So once the academic piece is there, like I said, you see my guys on the field. We're very fast. One of our guys, Kamari Wilson, just went to IMG last year. Like, he was the #1 safety in the country, not the state, but the country. That's the kind of guys that we have on this team. And we have guys that are just, it's like a feeling. James Mons has 35 offers. We have Roderick Huntley, who has probably about 7 or 8 offers himself. We have guys that are probably on the same level as them and don't have any offers. We have Tayon Mills, 6'3" safety. We have DeAndre Dixon on offense, just a phenomenal athlete. Once he puts it together, he's going to be an extraordinary player for us. We just have a lot of guys, and not to mention, our quarterback. Our quarterback is, I think, going on the radar. He's a great kid, comes from a great family. His dad is a coach, coaches him and his little brother. And we just have these guys that, are going to be great players in the future.
What do you think about this situation in college where the players are opting out and not playing their bowl games? I mean, we could spend the next 40 minutes on this because I got feelings. I know you have feelings. What do you think about that?
You know what? I have a couple of thoughts on that. But, at the end of the day, and I hate to say this, when you get to that next level, it's a business, and they have to look out for their best interests at heart. Of course, me being a football coach, I'm like, hey, I want you to play.
Right.
But you have to look out for your best interests. Like, for instance, like I just mentioned, Kamari Wilson. Kamari Wilson, a phenomenal athlete. I mean, like I said, the #1 player in the country, but he chose to go to IMG to better himself. So am I supposed to be mad about that? I'm not going to be mad about that. I'm going to wish that kid well and, thank him for the year that he was with me, So it's all about personal experience, personal, how you feel personally about it. I can never tell another man's, emotions. I can't say, don't do this, don't do that. It's about what he feels. You don't know his life.
We had a kid, young man at Centennial about 5 years ago, Justin James, who was our basketball player, player of the year as a junior. Whole team coming back, this and that. He went to private school. I don't even know the name of it, you know? And, you know, I was disappointed. He's a great young man, great family. He ended up going to Wyoming, which he did have the scholarship before he left Centennial. He still, but he ended up playing for the Los Angeles Kings. He made it to the pros.
Wow.
So he's a great young man, but you're disappointed as a coach.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you know, and I'll give you two contracting examples. Watch Miami in a playoff game play Oklahoma State. First half, Oklahoma State, big-time receiver, played. Second half, he just says, I'm not playing anymore. I don't want to get hurt. Okay? Then I watch Alabama. Jaden Waddle could hardly walk. His whole thing's on the line. They did not need him that game, but he wanted to be part of the team. What happens if this goes down to high school? What happens if you got a high school team, can't win your district, not going to get in the playoffs, 3 games to go. The young man says, I don't want to play.
You know, once again, you know, that's a personal issue.
Yes.
But, you know, when you're recruiting the guy, you know, and I think that speaks volumes. Like, because
you're a college coach.
I'm a college coach.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not gonna recruit that guy because you know that guy is not going to stay. You know, he has no willpower. But once again, it may be a personal issue for him. But like I said, when they're recruiting, like I said, I was a recruiter, you know, and I was really good at recruiting. I wouldn't just talk to that kid. I would, you know, talk to the head coach, talk to his position coach, talk to as many people so I can get that character, because you gotta understand it's a business. You know, that's our livelihood. You know, when we recruit you to come to our school, it's not because we just like you. It's because, you know, we think you can help us succeed, you know, on the football field. So, you know, it's a lot that goes into that. And, you know, if I were that coach, college coach recruiting that kid, I wouldn't recruit him because, you know, you could probably gonna do that to me, you know, in college. I just...
See, and now it's going down to not even the players, but the teams are opting out. I don't want to play in this bowl game. I don't want to do this. I mean, there's got to be, and this is way above my head, there's got to be some kind of structure that they need to make these bowl games part of the playoffs or expand the playoffs. If you're not in the playoffs, if you're a good player, you might opt out. And I mean, you can't fault them, you know. But let's talk about Alabama for a second. And I'll give you an example about coaches coming in. About 5, 6 years ago, we had a very, very good player, Jernard Bostwick. And Bobby Williams, who was the assistant coach at Alabama, who I knew when I was down in Miami, when he was Coach Saban's assistant, said, I'm going to bring Coach Saban here. And Coach Parker and I didn't really believe that. Lo and behold, comes in on a private plane, lands in Martin County, walks in. And, you know, you're kind of stunned when you see the guy. And he's not a big guy either. So you hear all these things about him and people talking things about him. So he's looking at my office. He says, oh, you won a few state titles? He says, yeah. He says, tell me about him. And he's, you know, saying, so for an hour, I'm not making this up, Coach Parker was doing X's and O's with the assistant coach. Coach Saban and I are talking about motivation, getting ready for the playoffs. And Jernard's just sitting there. But besides that, that was the year that they played Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. And I said, Coach, how do you get your team ready? And this is what he said for the playoffs. And I thought this was so unique. And again, if I do seminars for coaches, I'll mention it. He says, John, when we get to the playoffs, we start practicing all over again. Now, I wasn't able to go down to practice, but Coach Parker and Jernard went down there. He says they started basic, every single
So back to
thing.
Fundamentals.
Now they have a little more time.
Yeah, they do.
Like you'll have a week. And now with this new setup, you don't know. You know, years ago you would know who you're playing.
Yeah.
The way to set. But he says, John, we go through every single drill, step by step by step by step. We go, oh, it's a completely new season. I thought that was great.
Wow.
I was so impressed with the way he talked to people. And another thing that you said, all the years that I was AD and baseball coaches, when I had people come in to talk to my players, they don't want to know how they're doing on the field. They got film, they got tape. How is he? What are your parents like?
Exactly.
You know, let me talk to, you know, my close friend Fred Almade, who's the guidance counselor at Centennial, was like my right-hand man. Can we go see Mr. Alme? We want to see his grades.
Exactly.
Can you find a teacher for me? I want to see what kind of person he is, if he's investing all that money. Now, here's another question for you. I'll put you on the spot here as a college coach.
Let's go.
Do you think that the players should be paid?
College players?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Why?
You get a scholarship for free education.
Okay.
You know, that education is worth $40,000 a year now.
Right. More than that now.
You know, and you know, I think that that right there is enough for them. You know, they get their books paid for, you get meals, you get all of that stuff. So essentially, you are getting paid.
Okay. Now, I agree with you, but I'm going to take the opposite point of view.
Go ahead.
Okay? The opposite point of view is, wow, I'm number 36. They're selling my jersey. They're making money off of me. There's a video game with my name and number 36 on the back of it, and people are making money off of that. Okay? Now, I know I'm getting a scholarship, but I don't have any money, extra money for food. What was it? Somebody got fined a few years ago for one of the coaches gave them money because one of the parents died and paid for the flight home to go to the funeral. And they got, I mean, the NCAA, in my opinion, is archaic, and there got to be changes. I'd love to see the playoffs being 8 games or expanded more.
I'm with you on that one.
You know, they're making so much money off of TV. Now, granted, they lost a fortune this year. And what did it say? Wisconsin lost $90 million. That's going to trickle down. What's Wisconsin's baseball and softball teams going to get this year? Not much.
No.
They're going to be knocking out sports. So there's got to be a way. I know even as a high school AD, I know we got very, very fair amount from the district, but we had to make our money from the football games. And I know when we had the good teams at Centennial, we were you know, $8,000, $9,000 a game we were bringing in.
So let me ask you a question, okay? So let's say we were to play the football players.
Right.
What would we pay them?
That's a great question. That's some kind of stipend.
So,
I mean,
so you think a stipend?
something where a little extra money a week, you know, a little on that. If they're, you know, the old days when you worked for jobs and you never did the job, you know.
Okay.
I had a lot of friends that took care of the grass on the football and baseball fields, even though it was automatic sprinklers.
Exactly.
You know, on that. But it's something that they have to look at down the road. I mean, a lot of people are pushing. I think California passed an act already that in 2 years, their players are going to get paid. Or get a stipend. Now, if you had to go to UCLA or you had to go to friends in New Mexico, you're going to go to UCLA.
Exactly, because they
stipend.
pay you, exactly.
But Coach, the time has gone by very, very quickly. We go quick. I want to thank you very much for all you have done at Westwood. I think you're a credit to the coaching profession. And I hope you stay there many years and develop a program, because I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Okay, and I want to thank everybody for another edition of Hey Coach.